The most important moments in your life are when you were born and when you find out exactly why. There was a professor named Victor Stretcher, author of Life on Purpose, a man who had to say goodbye to his daughter Julia far too early. She died young from a heart failure. The immensity of his loss led him to engulf himself in studying the question what makes life worth living. I'm sure you would understand how these shocking life events pushes one to contemplate the meaning of life. Where do you find the meaning of life? Why, the dictionary, obviously. That's where I'm guessing he started. After a long endeavor of research, he proposed that an imaginable situation where a drug was created. It could add years to your life, reduce the risk of getting struck by all kinds of lethal diseases, helps you relax and sleep better with no side effects, activates your natural killer cells, increase your good cholesterol and repair your DNA. It was such a huge success that this imaginary drug put hospitals out of work. The inventors of the drug would presumably receive Nobel Prizes and have institutes named for them and after them. But it's not a drug, it's purpose, and it's free. Or at least that was the professor's answer. Purpose is definitely free, but not so easy to come by as well. Since time immemorial, God and purpose came hand in hand. The lower scale class is that God is imposing his divine will, plan and purpose for all things, overseeing and instructing the narrative of human history according to his intentions. The particular class is that God has specific plans and purpose for each individual's life. And so far, religion has succeeded in providing individuals and societies with meaning and purposeful lives. This is why many people take comfort in the idea that whatever befalls them in life is part of God's plan. One of the greatest gaps I see related to purpose is a vast divide between what we want and how we act. We long for a purposeful life, yet we spend our days thinking thoughts and practicing behaviors that don't enhance our sense of meaning. Part of this gap is due to the fact that we are under the misconception that purpose is something you randomly fall into. We also buy into the myth that purpose must be grand and all-consuming, because it can also be defined as what makes us distinctive. Whether you're a CEO, a teacher, or a firefighter, your purpose is your brand. What you're driven to achieve. It's not what you especially do, it's how you do it, and why. The strengths and passions you bring to the table, even if you're seated way back in the corner. When speaking in light of this particular subject, psychologists labeled people into four main categories. The purposeful. You have found something that is personally meaningful to you and that contributes to the greater good. You've sustained interest over a long period of time, and you can clearly articulate your why. Dreamers. You think about and possibly express great ideas, but you have not yet taken any practical action. Dabblers. You have engaged in potentially purposeful activities without committing to one in particular, or sustaining your efforts over a long period of time. Disengaged. You don't have a sense of purpose in life, and don't even have any desire or need to find one. In that case, you have nothing to worry about. It could be that your purpose in life is to serve as a warning. You know what they say, even the most useless guy there is can still serve as a good example. If you ever think that you have no purpose in life, don't worry about it. Things which have a purpose are often created for that purpose, such as man-made tools. One could initiate an analogy or comparison between life and tools. The purpose of a tool is present at or before it is manufactured. A kitchen knife has been made to help man cut and chop. This is known as the knife's purpose. The correct use seems to be in line with the maker's design. However, the object could be used differently. The knife could be used as a weapon if fallen in the hands of a psychopathic killer. So the purpose of an artifact has two major senses: to be used in a manner for which it was created, or in a case where it would be called a misuse. The same analogy has been used many times as proof for the existence of God, that he created souls and placed them into bodies designed for a purpose. I would guess that purpose would be to worship and be good, but in a case where Hitler decides to use the kitchen knife to slaughter and massacre, then God is somehow blamed for all the suffering that happened. Might as well praise Satan for all the good that's happening, but I digress. Just imagine that you were a tool being manufactured for a purpose, and you are yourself the manufacturer. In what way would you prefer to be used? There is also a notion that everything in nature synchronizes in an interplay of mutually supporting functions and purposes set by the grand designer. Take bees for instance. They serve such a grand purpose: help produce a third of our food supply, help provide half of the world's fibers, oils, and other raw materials, help create many medicines, provide food for wildlife, help prevent soil erosion. Of course, that notion received a major setback when Darwin formulated the idea of evolution through natural selection. You know, the implication that no one designed anything really, only a blind process that necessarily produces circumstantially favorable organisms. What is most important about purpose is that it promotes resilience. A purpose in life is a long-term, forward-looking intention to accomplish aims that are both meaningful to the self and hopefully contribute positively to society. In this aspect, I would think of humans as wine. We do take forever to mature. Research suggests that individuals with purpose in life tend to be more resilient. Being inspired by a personally meaningful goal that is larger than the self serves to keep individuals committed to long-term goals, despite challenges and setbacks. But we cannot be resilient without having a reason to do so, and for that, we are going to need purpose. How do we find purpose? The best way possible is to reflect on what matters most under a sphere of the things you care about, or mesh well with your interests, if you will. In other words, we need to cultivate a sense of purpose in the spectrum of our personal preferences. There is a beautiful Japanese concept that can serve as a guide to facilitate this process. Ikigai is a Japanese concept that combines the term iki, meaning alive or life, and gai, meaning benefit or worth. Ikigai is similar to the French term raison d'être, or reason for being. It basically creates a segue for your human drives to find the right way to develop and lead a fulfilling life through introspection and self-study. As this diagram shows, Ikigai holds the central position and involves four major spheres of interest, and how they might overlap in one's life. In trying to determine your own personal Ikigai, you would fill in each sphere with its appropriate contents based on your own experiences, self-knowledge, and understanding of the world. Filling in such a diagram can help clarify where you stand in your search for Ikigai, and how to make any needed adjustments to attain this elusive purpose. Now, I would like to mention a few positive key points. Research suggests that purpose is tied to having better health and longevity. Remember, being healthy is basically dying as slowly as possible. I just thought I would cheer purposeless people by saying, it's gonna be over soon. The purpose of a nihilist is to study rivers in Egypt. That's all I got. I'm sure you're a garbage can, but at least you're not a garbage can. The meaning of life could be in the search for the meaning of life. In your pursuit for purpose, you'll definitely face hardships. We surely bleed more than we sweat, but spring can only come forth from being buried deep under the snow.